Joining me now, EWTN host, Fox News contributor, and host of the Arroyo Grande podcast on YouTube, which is fantastic, Raymond Arroyo. What a pleasure to see you, Raymond.
David.
The perfect guest for a sad day. I want to talk about something it's hard to put your hands on. That's God's timing. It's extraordinary, this moment. In fact, Cardinal Dolan from New York talked about that earlier today. But the founder of EWTN, or the foundress, Mother Angelica, also died on Easter Sunday.
She died on Easter Sunday,
and
but
her birthday
was April 20th. Yeah, so there's kind of an interesting confluence here. And Pope Francis, look, we all thought when he left the Gemelli Clinic after the double pneumonia fight that he was going to be fine, that he would at least quietly go about his business at the Vatican. But you know, I told our friend Father Jerry Murray, when I saw him go home and the doctor said, you have to convalesce for 2 months, I said, Father Jerry, let's take the over-under how quickly he's out in public. It was literally a week. And every day he was out doing surprise visits, drop-bys. And this last Sunday, hours before he dies, he's out with the people. He's out touching the crowd. He's out blessing them and mingling. I mean, that I thought was the beautiful part of the Francis ministry. His willingness to go out, and he really was only happiest when he was among the people. Yeah. In the private meetings, you know, people, his close converse say, you know, he could be kind of cantankerous.
A little surliness there.
Well, he's a dour character. He's not a ebullient kind of happy man. He wasn't. But he was committed to the job, and he dragged himself out to meet the people and meet the moment.
And I have to say, he was the only pope that I saw face to face. I saw him in Rome shortly after he became pope. And I actually, you mentioned Father Murray. He's the guy who baptized me. I came to the Catholic Church very late in life. But I did, and he was the Pope, and I must say that was not one of the selling points of the Catholic religion for me, because he is, if you want to say the contrast, he's kind of the exact opposite of Mother Angelica, who we were talking about moments ago. He was pushing a lot of stuff that people would put in sort of the woke framework for the church, not only in social policy, but also in economics and politics.
He was certainly a progressive and a departure. It was a break from the continuity of John Paul II and Benedict XVI, both of whom I covered, I knew. But he decided, you know, Pope Francis told a group of young people, David, very early on in his pontificate, go out and make a mess, he told them. That's how you spread the faith. Go out and make a mess. Go out there. That really is kind of a linchpin to his papacy. He went out and he made a mess. He believed if you took an issue of controversy, don't lock it away and say it's no longer to be discussed or it's been settled. Throw it in the middle of the table. Let's have a thrash around it, and we'll figure this out together.
But it wasn't as though he didn't have his own plan. I mean, he did veer to the left on a lot of issues. One of those dealt with the border issues. And in fact, it led to the Trump administration pulling a lot of money away from Catholic charities, which was being used by the government to resettle both legal and illegal migrants.
In the country, and billions of dollars we now find out.
Weren't they getting more money from the government than from the Catholic Church?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, because each diocese was getting its own grant in addition to the Bishops' Conference, and they were settling these refugees all over the country. But look, the Pope made immigration, climate change. He almost raised that to the level of dogma and Catholic teaching, where really those are prudential issues, meaning local officials can make their own decisions. But the Pope has an obligation to preach clearly on the issues of doctrine and faith. At times, the Pope liked the ambiguity, and other times, look, he embraced and endorsed blessing gay unions, couples who were divorced and remarried. He said, go ahead, you can take communion, just talk to your pastor. These were departures and ruptures from his predecessors that I think the Cardinals will consider as they go into the next
irony,
conclave.
and I hope it's something that they also consider in this conclave, is that there is a revival of Catholic traditional teaching, and it's drawing the young people. A lot of people say, no, if you're young, you veer to the left. Well, that apparently is not so among Catholics.
30 to 70% increase in baptisms this Easter in Catholic dioceses all over the country. And this is happening in France,
now, his
in the
supporters, Pope Francis' supporters, will say, well, that's because of his ideology. In fact, when these people are asked what they believe in, they're very sort of old traditional Catholic doctrine.
They are hardcore John Paul II, Mother Angelica Catholics.
The Wall Street Journal had a piece about it.
Right. Well, they want clear doctrine, they want orthodoxy, and they want some. And I'm not off the top of my head. I talked to these young millennials, mostly boys, who I saw this week in parishes at Easter. I said, "Why are you guys here?" They're craving something to hitch their life to. They want something eternal, rooted in history, that they can rally around and support. They understand this is the prime mover of the politics and the economy that we cover every day, David. It is this faith and the faith of the people that our founders understood. That's what drives all of this. And if that's solid and firm, you have a great day and a great country. Otherwise, things start falling apart.
There's one other policy issue that he got involved in, and one of his possible successors got directly involved in, the Secretary of State, Cardinal Parolin, which was this deal with China. And specifically, of course, it wasn't with the people of China, it was with the Communist Party of China. The Vatican gave China all of these bonuses. They allow China to have a veto power over bishops that are chosen by the Vatican.
That's correct.
They allow the sort of sayings from Chairman Xi to go into the liturgy.
The gospel readings.
What's that all about?
Yeah, well, we don't know, because it's an 8-year secret pact between the Vatican and the Chinese officials. But here's the fruit of it. Bishops are being rounded up, underground Catholics loyal to Rome and the Pope and the truth faith are being rounded up and shut down. Churches are being demolished, and they're tracking those people. This is,
well, even, by the way, we should
insidious.
mention even cardinals, like Cardinal Zen, who was the Hong Kong cardinal. He's on your show quite a bit because
in his 90s,
he speaks perfect English. There he is, Cardinal Zen. Not a peep out of the Vatican, or at least from Cardinal Parolin, about their attempts to arrest this guy, 90-year-old cardinal.
A bishop was arrested last week on Holy Week. Not a peep from the Vatican or Cardinal Parolin.
And our friend Jimmy Lai, the great businessman from Hong Kong, who's been in jail for years now.
8 years.
And he could have gotten out very easily, paid his way out. Right. He's a billionaire, but he decided he became a Catholic like me late in life.
Yes.
And apparently his faith is what's keeping him going.
But Cardinal Parolin is running for Pope. He considers himself a contender. I don't know how, with this record in China, and knowing that he's one of the architects of that plan, I don't know how he could be one of those papabili.
Well,
I don't.
Papabili is those people who could be the Pope, and one of them, on the positive side for me anyway, is Cardinal Sarah, or Sarah. He is from Africa. I believe he's from Guinea.
Yep,
and he's a wonderful man. He's 79. He's a little old. Is it conceivable that after popes from places like Argentina and other places other than Italy, that they might go with an African pope?
I think there's certainly a fervor to look to Africa. That's where the energy of the faith is. That's where the converts are coming from, and they're very orthodox. But I wouldn't look Cardinal Sarah's an amazing man. I do think he's at 80. He's probably too old for the post. Look to Abango, who is from Congo. He was the guy who went to Rome after the blessing of gay unions came out. He went to Rome and said, Africa will not abide this. And the Pope did a carve-out for the nation of Africa. Abango engineered that and made international headlines. That might be a deciding
I'm getting a wrap, but I have to ask, this is going to be your third conclave, is that right?
The third.
For all the problems in the church, it is exciting, isn't it?
It's beautiful. And look, everybody's going to get a front row seat to watch the pageantry, this ritual that has played out since 1057, the election of a pope in this formal way. It is a beautiful thing to witness. It is a family coming together to find, discover, raise up, and welcome a new father. It's an incredible thing. And for non-Catholics, just very quickly, Catholics believe, that the Pope is the successor of St. Peter. And there's a line of men that run all the way down. His job is to protect the faith and boldly announce the gospel in the world. No matter what your belief, that figure, that man in white, remains important.
And if you haven't had enough, folks, of Raymond Arroyo, you're going to be doing Laura Ingram's show tonight at 7 p.m. All right.
Thank you.
Raymond.